For decades, almost every piece of sleep advice you've ever heard has focused on one number: how many hours you sleep. 7 hours, 8 hours. Get your 8 hours. But in 2024, researchers analyzing data from more than 60,000 adults using wrist accelerometers that tracked over 10 million hours of real sleep data found something that upended that entire assumption. It wasn't how many hours people slept that most strongly predicted who was still alive years later. It was how consistent their sleep schedule was, night after night. People with the most regular sleep-wake patterns, going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time, night after night, had up to a 48% lower risk of dying during the study period compared to people with the least regular patterns. That's not a small effect. And it held up even after accounting for how many total hours people slept. Today, we're going to walk through exactly what this study found, what sleep regularity actually means in practice, why researchers think consistency might matter even more than duration, and how to build a more regular sleep pattern starting tonight, even if your schedule has been unpredictable for years. Let's get into it. Here's what researchers were measuring. They used something called the Sleep Regularity Index, a score that captures how similar your sleep-wake pattern is from one day to the next. A high score means you tend to fall asleep and wake up around the same time, every day. A low score means your sleep and wake times shift around unpredictably. Early one night, late the next, a nap here, a late morning there. This matters because your body runs on an internal clock, your circadian rhythm, that governs far more than just sleep. It regulates blood pressure, body temperature, hormone release, and even how your cells repair themselves overnight. When your sleep schedule is erratic, that internal clock effectively gets confused signals about when day and night are supposed to happen, something researchers sometimes describe as a mild chronic form of jet lag, even if you never leave your home. Now, here's what the study actually found in detail. Researchers analyzed accelerometer data from nearly 61,000 adults in the UK Biobank study, with an average age of about 63. Over roughly 7 years of follow-up, they compared people's sleep regularity index scores to who survived and who didn't. People in the most regular sleep group had a 20 to 48% lower risk of dying from any cause compared to the least regular group. The exact percentage depended on which regularity tier they fell into. The most regular sleepers also had a 16 to 39% lower risk of dying from cancer specifically, and a 22 to 57% lower risk of dying from cardiometabolic causes, meaning heart disease, stroke, and related conditions. Critically, the researchers directly compared regularity to duration and found that regularity was a stronger predictor of mortality risk than how many hours people slept. That doesn't mean duration doesn't matter at all. Extremely short or extremely long sleep is still linked to worse outcomes in other research. But this study suggests that if you had to pick one thing to fix first, consistency may matter more than most people assume. Let's make this concrete. Consider someone like a 64-year-old, recently retired, whose bedtime has become unpredictable since leaving a structured work schedule. Some nights in bed by 9:30, other nights up past midnight watching television, weekend mornings sleeping in 2 or 3 hours later than weekday mornings. This is a composite picture built from patterns common in retirement age adults, not a real person, not a testimonial. Even if this person is technically getting 7 or 8 hours most nights, the timing of those hours is shifting constantly, which is exactly the pattern the Sleep Regularity Index was designed to capture, and exactly the pattern this research associates with higher mortality risk independent of total sleep amount. Now picture the shift, the same total amount of sleep but anchored to a consistent bedtime and wake time, including on weekends, lights off around 10 p.m., awake around 6:30 a.m., every day, not just weekdays. No dramatic change in hours slept, just a dramatically more consistent pattern. This is illustrative, a composite built from the study's described population, not a specific person's medical outcome, and not a guarantee. Individual results vary based on health conditions, work schedules, and factors like caregiving responsibilities that aren't always fully within someone's control. We know that for many people over 60, an irregular schedule isn't a choice. It's shaped by caregiving duties, chronic pain that disrupts sleep, medication timing, or a partner's own health needs. If that's your situation, this isn't a criticism, and perfect regularity isn't realistic for everyone. Even partial improvements matter here. Researchers found a graded relationship, meaning the benefit showed up across a range of regularity levels, not just at one perfect extreme. Anchoring just your wake up time, even if your bedtime still varies some nights, is a smaller, more achievable version of the same principle, since a consistent wake time helps stabilize your circadian rhythm even when bedtime is harder to control. If you have a diagnosed sleep disorder, insomnia, or sleep apnea, please work with your doctor or a sleep specialist on this. Some conditions require a different medically supervised approach to sleep timing than what general population research like this can address. We want to be straightforward about something most videos in this space skip over. This is an observational study. Researchers tracked people's existing sleep patterns and what happened to their health afterward, rather than randomly assigning people to sleep regularly or irregularly in a controlled trial. That's valuable, large-scale evidence, but it doesn't prove cause and effect the way a randomized trial would. It's also possible that irregular sleep is partly a symptom of other health problems, rather than purely a cause of them. Someone already dealing with chronic illness, pain, or stress might naturally have a more irregular sleep pattern, which could partly explain the association. The researchers accounted for a range of health and lifestyle factors in their analysis, which strengthens the finding. But observational research like this can't fully rule out this kind of reverse relationship. The honest summary is this: a large, well-conducted study using objective wearable data found a strong association between sleep regularity and lower mortality risk. Strong enough that the researchers concluded regularity may matter more than duration. It's compelling evidence for a simple, low-cost change. It is not proof that irregularity itself directly causes earlier death in every individual case. So here's the change, stripped down to its simplest form. Instead of focusing only on how many hours you sleep, focus on when you sleep, and try to make that timing as consistent as possible, 7 days a week, including weekends. If you try this, start with just your wake-up time. Pick one time and get up at that time every day for 2 weeks, regardless of when you fell asleep. According to this research, consistency in that single anchor point may do more for your long-term health than chasing a specific number of hours ever did. And one more time, because it matters. If you have insomnia, sleep apnea, or another diagnosed sleep condition, work with your doctor or a sleep specialist on the right approach for you. If this kind of research-backed breakdown is useful to you, consider subscribing. We go through published studies like this every week, always with sources, always without hype. And if you know someone whose bedtime has been all over the place since retiring, this might be the video worth sending them tonight.